It wasn't nearly as heavy due to its lighter skeletal build, and estimates give it a weight of around 2 tons. Furthermore, it wasn't the meanest rookin around either, as it broke another rookin rule, and that was diet, because opposed to most Ryans that were hyper-carnivores, this guy was actually a herbivore having a toothless beak that allowed to shear leaves off trees. And it wasn't the only leaf eater either, since other bipedal gyrra like the Idia were herbivores as well. Now Papasaurus, on the other hand, was still very much a carnivore who was likely a fast, agile hunter, just like small predatory theropods. And perhaps surprisingly for those who watched Walking with Dinosaurs, another potential carnivorous two-legger was the post-ascus, with some arguing that it was committed to bipedalism full-time, and others thinking it was more of a half-and-half kind of reptile. This evolution of bipedalism in Ryans may have granted the users better vision in order to help it find prey or food, or its purpose could have purely been for locomotion. But that's not to say that the Ryans who remain quadrupedal were slowpokes. To some they may come across as just big old crocodiles. But you have to remember that these apex predators were mainly terrestrial, and thus sported well-developed legs that were long and, more importantly, positioned beneath their bodies, rather from them sticking out to the sides. As we see in modern crocodilians, this let them be rather efficient walkers and runners on land, with located tracks in Europe belonging to the Arsuianticus, suggesting a speed of around 12 km or 7 mph, while moving, which is a bit faster than a human's jog, and fast enough to catch many Triassic animals. But here's the thing: researchers also don't know if the tracks were presented an animal in full sprint or just fast walking, so it's very possible that faster speeds were attained. Additionally, in Arisuian, the front limbs tend to be shorter and lightly built, even in the fully quadrupedal ones, reiterating again that these carnivores were more agile and nimble than one thought, and not some lumbering land crocs. It was this combination of diverse locomotion, size, teeth, and armor that made the Ryans the true kings of the Triassic and rulers over the dinosaurs. However, dinosaurs weren't always subjected to their rule, because, as mentioned, they hadn't yet evolved in the early Triassic, and currently we think that they appeared some 233 million years ago, so about 16 million years after the Ryans. And this was likely a big reason why the latter were so ahead, because, as they say, first come, first served. But honestly, when considering this, dinosaurs made some pretty remarkable headway within a short period of time, as ceratomorphs achieved remarkable sizes, and some theropods like the Herosaurus and Gajorosaurus became quite big too, both measuring 6 m or 20 ft in length. Regardless, that still wasn't enough to overthrow the Ryans, with both coexisting with far larger adversaries, including the Phassuchus in the case of Herosaurus. And this power over dinosaurs is clearly seen in fossil records, as most of the time dinosaurs only account for a handful of the animals within an environment, usually making up no more than 10% of the population, with the larger carnivorous ones being especially far and few between. On the flip side, smaller dinosaurs did do a bit better, with one of the most successful ones being the Celophysis, a speedy little thowd that was no heavier than an Australian cattle dog, who used its quickness to establish a niche typically not occupied by pseudosuchians. Theropods and dinosaurs in general also appear to have capitalized on the Earth's colder environments, where Ryans tended to be less abundant. But even then, at least one or two genera could still be found who held the title of apex predator. And this seemingly endless presence was a side effect of the continents being arranged in the supercontinent Pangaea during the Triassic, leading to Ryans being found on every land mass, except Antarctica. Back then, the world was also different in most other ways too. For example, a good portion of it being straight up a super desert. The odd river or lake within this vast dryness would have led to a good amount of prey for Ryans, and also showed off their prowess, as droughts happened to be extremely common, and when they would occur, Rossuchii and fossils became more and more abundant, which implies that they easily took over dwindling water sources and remained the last one standing. Some paleontologists further believe that the Ryans achieved this upper hand thanks to gregarious behavior, as a few genera are known to typically be found in groups, best seen in the Duosuchus, who is actually discovered in a grouping of 9 individuals. So with so much seemingly on their side, things really weren't looking that good for dinosaurs, and the future of Earth appear to be set in stone. However, in an ironic twist of fate, something which would one day topple the dinosaurs' own reign actually came in and saved them a mass extinction event. Many people forget that the Mesozoic experienced not one, but two of the big five die-offs, including the lesser-known Triassic-Jurassic extinction. Scientists believe that this event took place about 21.4 million years ago and had devastating impacts on life. The details are still a bit blurry, but the leading idea is that this catastrophe was caused by the eruption of the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province, or CAMP for short, Earth's largest continental igneous province, which covers an area greater than Canada. It's thought this eruption, or technically eruptions, took place over a 600,000-year period and included four distinct pulses that together killed 34s of all species, including a huge amount of pukin. And you can bet that the Ryusuken did not get off lightly, as it was in the midst of this doomsday event that every single genera vanished, leading to a world void of top predators and opening the figurative doors wide open for theropods and dinosaurs overall. Now, why the Ryans died and the dinosaurs didn't is another mystery, not yet fully understood. But many ideas have been suggested, including that because they were typically found in colder places, dinosaurs were already better adapted for the cold, allowing them to better bear the climatic effects brought on by the volcanic eruptions. Others think the answer was a bit more plain, with dinosaurs simply having been faster at evolving, or that it was just dumb luck. But whatever the case, it's obvious that they emerged victorious in the early Jurassic and setting the stage for one of the most impressive dynasties of all time. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Angsing Siu.